Good afternoon if it's afternoon. Good morning if it is morning. And good evening if it is good evening. My name is Francis Mahan, and I'm here to do a second video on healing from past trauma, from childhood traumas, from experiences that have an impact or linger with some people until today. What can be done? Can we heal from childhood trauma? I'm going to give you an example about a person that perhaps most of us do know because she's a very important singer, dancer, performer. And she went through a childhood where her parents controlled her. Then she became famous to the point where she made so much money that she didn't have control over her finances. Due to that, she felt that she was being controlled. At the age of 17, she had a relationship with a young guy, also an actor. 5 years after that relationship was on, I decided to meet somebody else, and within 6 months, he married another girl. Imagine the impact that had on this girl. Not only did she feel controlled by her parents, but now she's feeling a sense of rejection, a sense of someone that says, "You're not good enough for me, therefore, I'm going to marry this other person." That is shocking, and it can be a traumatic experience. If you're not old enough to be able to take the transition of what can happen, even though it is painful, and you need to deal with the reality of what is. After that breakup, this person went on and married one of her employees, one of the actors in her group. So, what happened? She had two children, and the marriage didn't last. She felt control as well. She felt under pressure, and she resented that very much because of her childhood and the relationship of rejection. Now she's feeling pressure. She left that and went on her own. She continued to her performance and she was doing okay until she heard about her ex that got married and she had a nervous breakdown. Sad as it is, she couldn't cope with the pain. She couldn't cope with the rejection and the control. So she left the second marriage, and I believe that she found love for the third time. Or so did we think she did. She was married for 1 year to another man who controlled her so much so that she resented it and she became out of control. She started dancing on social media and doing things that were kind of inappropriate for a person her age. She was now in her late 30s, two children, a woman, but a woman was still carrying the trauma, the pain, the rejection of the past. And all that linger until today. She has not healed. She needed to go to therapy, understand the process of the pain, understand what happened, know that rejection is normal, that you're not the only one, and build the resiliency to be able to cope with it and move on with her life. Unfortunately enough, she hasn't moved on. And after all the control, guess what her status is today? She's still behind closed door in an enclosed place where she has no freedom, although she believes she does. It is sad how past experiences can have such a negative effect on our emotional well-being and how it can traumatize us to the point that if we don't stand up for ourselves, It can linger and do more damage than good. There was a time in my life when I got divorced at 61 years old, and someone says to me, I want a divorce. And of course, unexpected, I felt like my world was turning upside down. How was I going to start my new life at 61? What am I going to do? I'm almost, in time to retire, and I didn't know what to do. Then my father died. And that piled up to all the negative feelings that I was experiencing, all the emotion, all the pain, all the trauma. I was at a distance. I couldn't say goodbye to my dad. It was a lot to deal with by yourself. I was alone. I had a friend, but that was not really a friend. That person befriended me to see what was going on in my life. Because in the end, they didn't stay with me. So what happened? I cried. I I was breaking down to the point that I cried so much one day and I prayed that I could stop breathing because the pain was so big that I didn't know how to cope with it. Then I had to understand that things happen. A thought came into my mind and I said, why should I be feeling sorry for myself, cry, and feel as if I want my life to end just because somebody said goodbye or a person died that meant a lot to me? It's not necessary. We should be able to accept what is and move on. And although it is painful and it's not easy to deal with, we can do it. So I said to myself, what if this person who said goodbye to me is having a wonderful time with a new person in his life? And here I am breaking down, miserable and crying. No need for that. So I shook myself and I said, I'm done with this. I'm moving on. It is time for me to face what is. And although it took me about a year to deal with the pain and the loss of my father, I resurfaced and I built a resiliency to say, enough is enough. I can move on with my life. And I am so thankful today that I was able to do that. Thanks God. Thanks to meditation. Thanks to gathering your thoughts and knowing that you have the power within to heal. It takes resiliency. It takes determination because you have to say at one point, I had enough of this. I can't live in misery. And I'm not allowed an outside source or person or negative emotion to take over my life because I only have one life to live. Can this be done? Can someone heal from past traumatic experience, whether it is from childhood or not? Yes, they can. I learned through Tony Robbins that it is possible to make yourself miserable and it is also possible to make yourself happy. How? Be with our mind. We have the power of the mind, like my book say, a journey into the mind, to go inward, understand what's going on, and come back and resurface and take control of our life. Yes, you can heal. And the person I was speaking about, I hope I don't do any damage by saying anything, is Britney Spears. She's still a child under trauma, a child in need of love, a child that need to resurface and say, I am who I am, and I'm doing the best I can with who I am as a person. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful and it's not damaging to anyone. It's been a pleasure as usual, and my name is Francis. Thank you. Okay.